Good afternoon. So thank you for joining me. I will issue a press statement for Zimbabwe Yadzoka, Maibuye Zimbabwe, on the current situation in Zimbabwe, the military takeover. Yes, it is with caution that we witness recent events in Zimbabwe. Whether a military coup or a bloodless transition, it has changed the configuration of the major players that have dominated the political arena thus far. Only the passage of time will reveal the true agenda. We have warned before of the consequences of an escalation in the ZANU-PF succession battle and the increased militarization of the conflict. The state is currently under siege. The military has taken control. The international community and media is reporting this as a possible or as a coup d'etat, but statements by the Zimbabwean military, they are preferring to refer to it as a bloodless transition of power. Whichever way, the pivotal developments of the last hours go down in the history of our nation, and the facts will determine the outcome. What do we know so far? We know that Harare is cordoned off. All the roads around the capital are blocked by military tanks. There are military tanks in the city center of Harare, and strategic locations are surrounded by soldiers. There is military presence, and this military presence is demonstrated and verified. Whilst these are undeniable facts, there are still many issues that beg for immediate communication and clarification for us, the citizens, especially with the direction the country will assume. There have been robust speculations and alternative reporting on the very serious developments in our nation, Zimbabwe. We demand transparency and honesty and hope that those who are holding power now, the generals, will provide this clarity. On the one hand, we could see some positive elements in what has happened. The ice has broken, the power structures are fractured, some change has occurred. We may have been alleviated of a threat of a Mugabe dynasty. The constraining grip might have been forcibly released, so there might be more room to maneuver as we seek a new and ever elusive democratic dispensation for our country, Zimbabwe. Again, the epic personification of our suppressive regime could have been nullified. This considered, we must, however, make it clear beyond any doubt that this military intervention is what it claimed to be, or it must be what it claimed to be. Thus, quote, corrective action, unquote. The generals should not impose military rule on the nation of Zimbabwe. I repeat, the generals should not impose military rule on the nation of Zimbabwe. At present, everything points in the direction. They have not as yet given us valid reason to expect that their intentions are to establish a totalitarian military government. It is with hope that we take them at their word, that violence is being prevented and bloodshed is not their intention. We dare to believe that these are words of honor coming from our generals, and that the promise of a peaceful transfer of power will be kept. At this stage, we cannot say for certain whether the significant events of the past hours will prove to be of benefit or to the detriment of the people of Zimbabwe. Our fate balances on the integrity of those who have changed our history. We appeal to them to establish a civilian, inclusive, transitional government. This will oversee the period until the next elections. We urge all sides to aspire to a peaceful solution. We urge members of both ZANU-PF factions to resist all forms of violence, intimidation, and retaliation. For once, act with propriety and decency for our nation. Reflect on your fellow countrymen and women. Consider the long-term consequences of the erratic and emotionally charged reactions and statements. Refrain. Be responsible and mindful. Remember our leaders of Ubuntu. I am because you are. To members of the opposition and the broader progressive movement, we advise you to refrain from involvement, to avoid crowds, and to keep a low profile. Exercise caution. We hope the deciders realize that the resurrection of Zimbabwe depends on the degree of space and participation awarded to the progressive pro-democratic movement. Efforts to concentrate the power within the auspices of ZANU-PF faction with military enforcement will not serve the good of our nation and will not be a step in a democratic, prosperous, and peaceful future for our nation. It will only be another transfer of sacrosanct power to another regime with a revised facade. Zimbabwe Yadzoka, Maibuye is Zimbabwe, will continue its grassroots mobilization of citizens. In fact, the mobilization of grassroots at grassroots level is more crucial now than ever. That the people of Zimbabwe must unite and prepare for a future democratic elections. As Zimbabwe Yadzoka Maibuye is Zimbabwe, we say, tikabatana tinokunda, singabambana siyanqoba. The manipulation of the masses, the manipulation of the silent voices and the forgotten people must be drawn into the democratic dialogue. And Zimbabwe Yadzoka Maibuye is Zimbabwe will play a critical role in this act. Including the majority of our people in a democratic dialogue will ensure that the future of Zimbabwe is secure, prosperous, and egalitarian. It is abundantly clear that we cannot continue in this downward spiral as a nation whose effects on everyday life for us is negative. For most, life, thus in Zimbabwe, has just become a synonym of bare existence. Therefore, the military must note that it is only for this reason that the citizens are ambivalent. Personal gratification may enrich a few, but the cost is carried by many who have been denied the scope to flourish and to reach their true potential. Let the voice of Mudzi be heard. Let the voice in Slobela be heard. And let the ideas of someone in Binga be cherished as we move in unison as a nation towards our new Zimbabwe. We continue our struggle. We continue our campaign for change. Thank you, comrades, for joining me. Tikabatana tinokunda, singabambana sianoba. Nimbe kwese kwese. Yes, thank you, comrades.